So hello and welcome to a review of a product that can in some cases replace your beehive smoker. Back in 2023, I was talking with Umberto Boncristiani of Inside the Hive TV, and he explained that this would be a good alternative to smoking. So I thought I would check it out, and sure enough, I met these people at the North American Honeybee Expo back in January. I'm just now getting into reviewing it. These are the parts. There's a registration card. This is the liquid that comes in it, and I'm going to go over this in great detail. This will all happen in under 14 minutes. It has a shelf life here. It looks like 2027, so that's pretty good. Essential oils and, of course, some proprietary mix that has an impact on the bees that works like a smoker. This is my registration number. Too late if you copy it because I already registered. The website is www.apisolis.com. Damien is the person I met there along with his assistant, and they explain this in detail. Originally, I wasn't too excited about it, but now the tide is turning. I am starting to think that this has a lot of potential for the bee yard, particularly in areas where you can't use a fire at all. And there have been examples of beekeepers who have burned up all their gear, and in some sad cases, the beekeeper even died as well. So, this is the reservoir. I'm going to go over all the details of the components that come with it. This thing is plastic, it's clear, and you can see the level of the essential oils right through it. And this is a silicone gasket that goes in it, and that's going to keep it from leaking while you work with it. And there is what appears to be a ceramic piece. This is where the heat happens that generates enough that it'll atomize your essential oil, and then when you puff the bellows, just like a regular smoker, it moves it through. They even included a USB cable so you can charge it up. I used my own cable and charged it. And these little resistors here that generate the heat that atomizes the fluid, they give you 6 of them. So that's pretty handy too, and I recommend putting that right back in the original box so you don't lose all these parts. That's where the USB cable connects, and we're going to charge it up. Step number 1, you always want to charge everything 100%. They also say that if you're going to store it, you should max out the battery charge before storing so it never goes to absolute zero. So number 1, we're just going to go step by step. I don't want to miss anything. We're going to fill the tank. How high do you fill it, you might be wondering? Well, it has little ribs on the inside of it, and the top of those ribs, which they call reinforcements, that's the level, maximum level, for the essential oil mix and the proprietary stuff, whatever that is, goes into the tank. So, of course, I'm going to top it off, and there it is. This, by the way, is also the storage position, so when you're not using it, it's going to be this end up. And here, of course, we're going to put in this little ceramic resistor. There is a cotton glob in there, and you don't want to turn this thing on without oil in it, so you have to prime it. And so this little cotton filter thing, we are putting it in. It doesn't say how many drips, so I just put enough to saturate it. I guess if you run it dry, you can ruin it. So don't turn it on without first priming this area. So here we are, the silicone insert, you put that in first. If you try to put it on the ceramic piece first and then jam it in there, I mean, I don't know, but I think that then it might not fit so well. So here we are. Everything's in. Smooth across the top. So when you put it into your unit, it's going to match up just right because these are the electrical contacts here that the battery, of course, is going to transfer in. Now when it turns green, it's still flashing green, but it will go solid green when it's fully charged. And also, look at these contacts at the bottom, because I did look through some of the troubleshooting reports, things that people had problems with, and some of those little contacts would stay retracted in some cases. So you want to make sure that they're both sticking up and they have to make contact there. We're going to slide it in, wait for the click, there you go, and it's in place. Now this is in the operation position. Bellows up, and of course the discharge tube down. And I did have a problem with it. I'm going to say that ahead of time. Anyway, this is the storage position. As you can see, the liquid stays in the reservoir and doesn't make contact then with the electrical portion. You're supposed to pump this 3 times, and then it's supposed to turn on and activate. It didn't work. So imagine my disappointment. Something brand new right out of the box, put together in strict compliance with the instructions, and it didn't function. Here's the good news. You can pull it apart. So there are 4 screws here. You need an Allen wrench to unscrew them. So there it is. The Allen wrench was not included. I had my own. Take all these off and you'll find out that all the parts inside the Apisolis unit are serviceable by the owner. That is very unusual. Normally there would be a sticker on there, warranty violated if you open it, but here we can open it. So I'm looking at the circuit board, I'm looking at the battery connections, I'm looking at the contact points, and then this little white piece sticking out here looks to be a magnetically activated switch. So since I see no damage on anything else, I highly suspect that this might be the problem. So I'm going to test it out myself because I want to get this thing working. I can't do a review if it doesn't function. So I have my own magnet, and I'm going to test it out with that because it would go into this reservoir right here, and there's a magnet on the back that is supposed to activate the switch. And it says right here, do not remove the sticker, so we can't fool with that magnet, so we're going to use our own. And I did not find this issue in any of their troubleshooting listings on their website. So here's my magnet. I'm going to touch it 3 times, just as if I were activating the bellows. And it works. So this is the problem. Now I have to figure out how to make this magnet make contact with the one in the bellows so that that works. Hold it for 3 seconds and it goes off. So that would be the off position. Also, if you don't use it for 20 minutes, it turns itself off. So there is some circuitry here. Everything here is replaceable by the owner. So I decided, since this thing pushes in all the way, maybe it's not making close enough contact with the magnet that's on the back of the bellows. So if I just pull this out a little bit and leave it that way, because there are no moving parts here once it's put together. But first I want to see what the clearance is. So stick that in. That's the depth that puts it in contact with the magnet. Hold it up here. I did discover there is a little space there. So I'm going to pull this out. And the copper wire that comes with it has just enough resistance on it that once I push it in, it should bottom out into the receiver side and stay that way because these are not moving parts between each other. So once I screw it all back together, this should work, and the magnet that's on the back of the bellows should now make contact with that switch and turn it on. There it is. Problem solved. That's good news. Because last thing I wanted to do is be sending something back to someone. I'm glad that I figured that out and that I could share with you that this is a potential issue. The other thing is, once it's on, you close the bellows all the way and that activates it. You can hear a little bubbling in there sometimes. And the heat from this vapor that's coming out is not very high. So it's going to be interesting. And yes, I'm going to take it out in the bee yard and show you how the bees react to it. This is the storage position, so you close it, hold it for 3 seconds, turn it off, and then you leave it stored upright. And remember, leave it stored fully charged. One of the things I wish they would provide, by the way, is a holster for it. Because once it doesn't generate heat, it's not a risk of fire. I could carry this right on my bee suit, I could have a clip on my belt, and I could have it right with me. The other thing is how much of this essential oil or this proprietary mix that I used to fill that reservoir once. Well, it didn't even get down to the top of the stickers, so I think it's going to last a long time. Now we're in the bee yard. So I'm going to find out if the bees respond to it and how they respond. I want to look for the guard bees, to be honest. I want to see what their reaction is, because they're the ones that we want to impact. We want to turn them away. Supervisors here. 2 of them this time. My 8 and 9-year-old grandsons are with me in the bee yard. Because this leads me to another thing, safety, kids, and fire. If you've got young beekeepers, I would rather give them this vape unit than to give them an actual smoker, because they can't light it themselves. If it went out, they can't relight it themselves. And the vape is instant on and off, and it's safe. So I look for the guard bees. Those are the ones that are watching your movements. Their little forelimbs are sticking up. Their mandibles are open, and they're ready to let you have it. And what does it do? A couple of puffs, they turn away and go about their business. Now I started thinking about this behavior too, because this isn't smoke. This is not a fire. Normally, when you use a smoker, not only does that irritate the beekeeper, and if you're an occupational smoke user for beekeeping, you're exposed to smoke and soot all the time. Not good for your lungs. This stuff actually doesn't smell bad at all, and it does turn the guard bees away with a few light puffs. But as I said, it's not smoke, so they're not going to rush in and start consuming resources and filling themselves up with honey the way they normally would in preparation for a forest fire to take them over. I like to equate this more to a fume board, for example. A scent that the bees actually want to get away from, because I'm also going to show you that. We're going to open up a hive here, and we're going to see how the bees react to it. Hear that little crackling sound? If the vape thins out, you just give it a full puff all the way until the bellows closes completely, and then you'll hear that it kind of emits more of that liquid into that resistor area, which generates the heat, which of course generates the vapor, and out it comes. How hot is the vapor coming out of the tube? Because that's the other thing. Are they reacting to the heat of the vapor? No, you can have your hand right in front of it.
Hard to use?
It's amazing.
Easy to use. Does it smell bad?
No.
Smells okay? Don't be sniffing it though.
Okay. I like the detail. It's nice.
So the bees react to it okay?
Yeah. They're pretty good.
All right. Thanks a lot.
So it's a nice hot day, and the bees are reacting in a decent way. Now, even the people that developed it, Damien, the person that I interviewed there, said that it's not good for highly defensive colonies. Well, I wouldn't have my grandsons in highly defensive colonies anyway, but it does push them off the frames, which is something we like to do, both when opening. It also is handy if you want to push them off the edges of your bee box when you're closing things up, or maybe you just want to do a quick check of something. This also happens to be one of those propolis hives, so it's a great opportunity to go ahead and look at the interior surface, and the bees did propolize all of those cracks. This is the brood area, and so a couple of light puffs with a vaporizer does not put them in a big tizzy. So your bee reaction is simply to move away from it, and it's not as annoying.
Ryan,
What do you think?
this is Orion, my cousin. Taking her over.
And of course we came across the queen, so I put her in a little queen holding cage here while we inspected the rest of the hive. And the bees' reaction is that they go right back to work and they're not gorging on their honey. So I see that as a big advantage too. It's different from smoke. So the health advantage is one. There's no heat that's pushing them away. I think it's more like a portable vape board that you can just send it right in there, like a fume board, which is designed to push bees out of a super. I don't think you're going to clear your frames with it, but you're definitely going to reduce any response from your guard bees that might be coming out to sting you. So there goes the queen down between the frames, and business as usual inside the hive. So I'm going to say, even though it looks like smoke, that is atomized liquid, and you can control it, move it around, push your bees away, and get to do the work that you'd like to do routinely. So if you've got a really hot hive, this is not your smoker. If you're doing some routine work and the bees are fat and happy overall, and you just need to inspire a few of the guard bees to move away so you can do your work, this is an excellent smoker for kids, for areas where fire is not permitted, and beekeepers have started fires with their smokers, which destroyed their gear, and in some cases even had negative health impacts on the beekeeper. In short, I like it. Thanks for watching.